1 second, you all. Let me get my water. All right. All right. If you coming in, say hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say hello as you all come in to the room. This is the Parent Corner. The Parents Corner, y'all. Let me calm down because I'm excited. I really have truly a passion for parent advocacy, parent education. I am in the family and wellness space. I'm a family and wellness practitioner, which means I am dedicated to the growth and the development of parents, the growth and development of parents, specifically family, the family dynamic. I have been in this space for over 10 years. I started in my career doing school bus driving. I've always had a passion for kids. Even as a little girl, I would work in the nursery for children's at my church, y'all. And then I found myself just, always around families, always giving advice, always giving wisdom that I didn't have specifically because I hadn't gone through it. And now I understand and know that that was the wisdom of God. And so over just the last 15 to over the last 15 years, I have just been evolving in my education of understanding families, family dynamics, parents, all of the things. I worked in the classroom as a general ed and special education educator. So I've seen both sides. I absolutely love my special ed kids. They are amazing, but I am no longer in the classroom in that space. I have also worked in the nonprofit sector because I wanted to see what it looked like from an organizational standpoint. And so that is where I started to get my footing about 10 years ago in the family space and really working with families and all of that. And so I have a background that is really a variety, but it centers around human development, social sciences. And so when I say I know what I'm talking about, y'all, basically I know what I'm talking about. But I know people like credentials and people like connection in that way. And so I am the person that gives the whole facts, from a knowledge perspective, but I also share my life experience. And I believe that is the best connector to people, is when you are sharing your life, your experience, and the wisdom that you've gleaned from whatever it may be. And so in a nutshell, y'all, that really just encapsulates who I am. I am a family and wellness practitioner. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And this space is the Parent Corner for us to chop it up about so many different things. I mean, so many different topics I have to talk about, but I also want this to be a space where you all have conversation and you kind of lead, whatever is going on in your environment, your mind, your space, what you're thinking. For today's purpose, because this is our first time getting together in this type of environment, parents, I want to talk about permissive versus gentle parenting, because there has been a lot of discourse that I have seen over the last 3 weeks specifically, where it is crazy the amount of, I want to say, like, division that I have seen between like education and family environments. Now, granted, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this with my whole chest, y'all, there are parents who are absolutely lazy. Yes, I said that. There are parents who are lazy. There are teachers who are lazy. There are teachers who have had a love for teaching and have lost it because of the current climate that the world is in, and all of everything that has like just taken place. And so this is not a space where we're going to be blaming one over the other. My true heart's desire, y'all, is to create a space for connection and collaboration. In the next season of the Legacy Table podcast, I am going to be sitting down with some educators for the education corner and really hearing their thoughts about how they see education today, what they thank you guys for the follow, where they feel like there is a gap in education and what they feel like parents need to do, but also hearing parents' perspectives on, what's happening. There is a lot right now, even in the parent space, where parents are pulling their kids out of public schools because they're homeschooling, simply because it doesn't work for them anymore. And I get it and I understand it. And I am 1,000% on board with doing what is best for your family, doing what is best for the family. But what I have noticed, as I said, and what is kind of like a little bit irritating, is how people just automatically assume, oh, because you're gentle parenting, then this is the reason why your child is responding this way, or this is why they don't know this or that. That's where I get annoyed. And that's where I'm like, okay, enough is enough. And so that's what we're going to kind of be talking about today. So in the comments, y'all, put your thoughts in the comments about what you believe gentle parenting is, what you believe permissive parenting is, because they're not the same. They're not the same. I want to say, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I don't think I've ever seen so many labels of parenting styles as much as I've seen them in the last 5 to 7 years. I have not seen so many parenting labels as I've seen in the last 5 to 7 years. And they could have been around prior to that. I don't think that it was ever labeled the way that it is, where we have the conscious parenting, what is it, intentional parenting, gentle parenting. Only parenting styles that I knew about were permissive, authoritarian. Of course, you had like the helicopter parent. And I think there's one more. I think it was only 4 styles that I really understood prior to like the last 5 to maybe 7 years. And then there has been this awakening of sorts. This is how I see it. This awakening of sorts, like, no, there is this, there is this, there is this. And I'm just like, it's a lot. But at the end of the day, what I have learned, thank you, Jess. Yes. At the end of the day, y'all, what I have learned and understand is that anytime as parents we find ourselves repeating unhealthy patterns, it is because, thank you for the follow, it is because history is repeating itself. So I always like to lead with just a little bit of my story, y'all, because it brings people into connection. So just very short, very short. I was raised by my mom. She was a single parent. She made choices. Hi, good afternoon and good morning or good evening. She was a single mom. She made specific choices to where my dad basically was no longer in the picture. Okay, this is a short synopsis version, y'all. If you guys want to read more about it, I did write a book called Grace to Pivot, which really kind of details more in my life. But she made the decision to move away from him. And in that, she wanted to follow her father in whatever it is that he thought that was right for the family. Oh, thank you. I think you are too. And so in that, y'all, in that, I was raised with a lack of structure. I was raised with lack of affection. I was raised in a survival household. Thank you so much. I was raised in a survival household, and it carried on for a very long time. It carried on for a very long time. 19 years old, y'all, I got pregnant with my first son. And only thing I knew, and like I said, I'm giving y'all the very short version because this is not about me, but I'm introducing why I do what I do and how it's so, like, it's passion for me, y'all. Parent education, family wellness is passion for me. I don't think you will be, Jazz. Like, we gonna talk. We gonna talk. This is why the parent corner exists, because I want to be able to give like a variety of things. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna pause my story real quick. At the end of the day, y'all, like, parenting is a relationship. It's a relationship and it is a journey. Okay, anyone that has parented for, any amount of time can tell you it is a relationship and it is a journey. I categorize it, y'all, as a relationship because it's not just you telling a kid what to do. Yes, there are stages in the journey of parenting where you are and have to be the authoritative figure for the child because they are dependent on you. And so I believe that is in the developmental stages of the child's life, 0 to 7. Okay, 0 to 7. Let's just say that for all intents and purposes, 0 to 7. You are developing them, you're training them, you're instilling in them values, you're instilling within them the systems of life and of your family dynamic. This is why I like to share with parents, have a parenting vision. Just like we put up vision boards, just like we do that, of what we want our year to look like, don't exclude your family dynamic. Like, that's the first place that you are able to experience so much. Or let me say it like this, you should experience so much is in the family dynamic. Conflict resolution, learning how to what is this thing that my son does very well, y'all? Persuasive techniques. Like, there are so many things that should be learned in the family dynamic, but I wholeheartedly feel as though some individuals take parenting as if it is just a haphazard job. Like, oh, okay, yes, I'm a mom. Just because you become a mother or a father does not make you a parent. And I know we've heard it plenty of times where they're like, there is no parenting handbook. There isn't technically. Should there be fundamentals? Absolutely. And I promise, like, I am writing a book called The Regulated Parent. Shameless, not so shameless plug. I will be hosting a class February 24th called The Regulated Parent for parents that are intentionally parenting in a way that is going to build their children, build their lives as the person. I go by this philosophy: before you are a parent, you are a person. And if you, the person, are not well, then it is going to impact every role in your life. And parenting is one of those roles. We've seen it, we see it, we may have even dealt with it ourselves, where we've been in therapy, gone to therapy, may still be in therapy because of things that have happened in our childhood. And so part of my responsibility, and I do say my responsibility because I know God has given me this passion for family and wellness, is to equip parents the best way that I can so that they can take the tools to be able to build up their lives in a way that they see for their family dynamic. That's it. And so oftentimes when we have our first child, we feel like, I just want to protect them. I just want to shield them. You're welcome. Like, it is really like an honor because these are things that I didn't have. And so instead of duplicating what I received, I took the time to heal, to step back, to really invite God into this journey of parenting because He really gives a blueprint in Scripture. And I understand that everybody is not someone that believes in Christ, and that's your prerogative. Ain't no shade, ain't no judgment from me. I truly believe that when I started to incorporate and ask Him and get His help, is when things shifted for me in parenting, because I used to be one of those parents that in the early part of my journey, I was cussing at my kid. Because I have boys. And so I felt like, oh, I gotta be, rah, rah, rah. I gotta, make sure that they're not soft. He's not soft and all of these different things. And it wasn't until my oldest son was 7 that the Lord was like, you can't approach him that way. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, why I can't? This is what I've been doing. It seems to be working. And his response to me was, it is going to create a distance within your relationship and an anger towards you. And I was like, oh, okay. And this was even before I decided that I wanted to take my relationship with God serious. He thought enough of me, but not even me, of my son, to be like, no, you don't get to treat my child that I gave you to steward that way. That's another point, y'all. Parenting is about stewardship. Parenting is not about ownership. We don't own our kids, we steward them. So that's why I said, Jazz, no, I don't think you're going to be a helicopter parent, because you're going to understand that you don't own them, you steward them. And so stewardship says, okay, I need to approach conversations, conflict, discipline, punishment, consequences, all of those things with wisdom. So let me give y'all a little example. And this is a fresh example, y'all. Fresh meaning yesterday, okay? This situation happened yesterday with my youngest son. I really believe that he came from some other side of heaven. I do not know, but he came to woo, to stretch me in so many different ways, and it is a blessing. It is a blessing. But baby, let me tell y'all, it's been challenging, because I was sharing this with a friend. Like, when you didn't grow up with a parent that was nurturing, a parent who was active, because I do believe that there is a difference between an active parent and a present parent. And here's what I mean by that, you all. I am present because I'm here. Okay, I'm here, just like I'm here today. But to be active means I am intentional. I'm in the game with you. I'm running through it with you. We doing these things together. I didn't have a active parent. She was present. She was in survival. She had to do the things that she had to do. I have forgiven my mom. I have gone through, all of the stages of grief when it came to the mother wound, because when I started to learn things as I was matriculating through my parenting journey, it was like, why didn't she teach me this? Why didn't she do this? Why this? Why that? And it was like, step back. Once I stepped back, y'all, to look at the broader picture, I realized, well, she didn't have it. And we can't expect people that do not have it to be able to give it. It is what it is. It does not excuse things. Here's what I'm saying. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't take away your feelings of anything, but it brings a clearer picture. And then from that place is where I started to implement boundaries, y'all. This is the place where I had to start implementing boundaries. And there may be some of you that are listening that may watch the replay on YouTube, where it's like you're struggling to see, okay, how can I honor my parents, or like my parents, or love my parents, or whatever it may be, and still hold my ground as how I want to parent my children. Boundaries. 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 They're going to be necessary, because everybody is not going to have the best interests for your child at heart. Everybody is not going to like the way that you do it. I know in the Black community, it's sometimes this notion where it's like, this is our baby, and I understand and I love the village mindset. But when we're talking about raising children in a way in which is going to be beneficial, again, for your family dynamic, for the vision that you have for your family, when you communicate that vision to those in the extended family that you have, and they don't want to be on board with that, and they don't want to appreciate how you're doing with your child, then sometimes you have to put some distance there. Because the last thing you want is to have your child in chaos and confusion, you, the parent, be in internal chaos and confusion, because you're trying to please them, but you're not honoring your own values. So boundaries, they're going to be necessary. They're going to be necessary. So, a little quick story, like I said, y'all. Yesterday, got a call from my son's school. Stipulations that I've given him. This is his first year in middle school. And so the transition has been different for him. It's been a little challenging. And so as he's been transitioning, we've had some instances in the first semester. So here we are now in the second semester. And we had a conversation over winter break. Hey, these are my expectations of you. I asked him what his expectations are of himself, because I I think I mix all of the parenting styles together, y'all. Gentle, intentional, a little bit of authoritative, because you need to know when you need to be whatever you need to be as a parent. It's literally like 1,000 or more hats that you're going to be putting on in specific moments. But at the baseline, what I want us to understand is that it is stewardship. In all of these different ways that you find yourself parenting, understand that the foundation is stewardship. How am I stewarding this moment, and how am I stewarding the life that I've been given? So yes, I can be pissed off. Yes, I can, be joyous. Whatever the emotion is that you may be feeling, don't forget it's about stewardship. This is why regulation is so important. And I didn't just come to this, epiphany off one day. I lived a dysregulated life. And so I know what it's like to be a reactive parent and an emotionless parent. I promise y'all. I'm not just giving, and ain't no textbooks even around me. I promise. I know what that's like. And so yesterday, I got a call from his school, some information that I was not pleased with. I already gave him my expectation of what I expect from you in this environment. You're not meeting that expectation. And so here's what I believe. When we talk to our children and we're giving them our expectations and we're conversing and all of the things, that's setting the foundation and the groundwork for how we want things to be. And when they agree with it, then we can attach the consequence to it. When they fail, or let me not say fail, when they don't meet the expectation for whatever reason it is. Communication is effective. Expectations are realistic. Okay, because we have to have realistic expectations. When these are all present and you're failing to meet it because of whatever your reason is, you better believe that there's going to be a consequence to your actions. I used to, in the earlier part of my parenting journey, y'all, I used to live by the switch because that's what was given to me. My mom used to whip my brother and I with a switch. We would pick the switch. And so that what was given to me. After I told y'all what the Lord said about my son, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to do switches. Okay, this is new. Okay, now I need you to really teach me how to do things differently, because sometimes when we are putting the B2B, the belt to the butt, it can be out of our frustration. Like, I'm just so frustrated with you. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm so this, I'm so this, I'm so that we're not stopping rather to see like, okay, let me get my anger together. Let me get my frustration together before I try to inflict anything. Because again, I'm a believer. It's biblical. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. A rod was used to bring back the sheep into the fold. It was sometimes it was to break the leg of the sheep to bring them back into the fold. So this is not about beating. This is not about demeaning. This is not about shaming. No, not at all. So he already knew what my expectations were. And so yesterday, I did do a B2B, belt to butt. I believe that it is important, and this is my belief. You don't have to agree with this. I believe that it's important as parents that we show and tell, okay? Talking is great. So let's go into our topic for today, permissive versus gentle. Talking is great. In permissive parenting, what I have noticed is there is a lot of excessive conversation and a lot of over explaining of things. And then a child, because children are so smart, oh, they're so smart, they will agree with you and sometimes actually mean it. But because they lack any consequence and discipline for their actions, then they repeat the same thing again. And then it can grow worse and worse. It is our responsibility as parents to discipline our children. Discipline and punishment are not the same thing. What I've seen with individuals that occupy in that permissive space, it's, I just kind of give them this, I just kind of let them know this, or I just kind of do this, I kind of do that. And it's just like, okay, at what point though are you, as the kids like to say, standing on business? Yes, it's good to take away devices, especially, looking at the developmental stage of the child, understanding where they are. So yes, it's good to take things away from them. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Especially now. They have so much access to so many different things, and many schools are so digitized anyway. So taking the device away, heck, may be the best thing that they can do so that they can detox their brains. We need it sometimes. But also, they may need the rod of correction where you tap B2B to express to them that my love for you is not just taking things away, but it is causing for you to come into a correction and an alignment. Because again, biblically, that's what it means. And I'm going based off the Bible. The rod of correction, the scripture says it drives it out. Let me pull it up specifically so I could give it to you just like the Bible say, okay? This ain't my words, I promise y'all. The rod of correction, because the scripture says foolishness is bound up in the heart of the child, but the rod of correction will drive it out. The rod of correction drives it out. So when he came home yesterday, we had a conversation. I asked him about, the incident. He said what he needed to say. And then from there, it's like, okay, now these are the things. I have to take time out to go to your school to have conversations with the dean about what happened and what took place. Okay. So now, yes, your things are taken away from you. But B2B is also going to be commenced because this was foolishness that you did. Let me give y'all the scripture just in case you want to go read it for yourself. I know it's in Proverbs. Proverbs 22 and 15. Proverbs 22 and 15, y'all. Says foolishness is bound into the heart of a child. Anything that's binding means it's coiled. Look. I like visual representation. I love a little visual representation. So boom, this notebook is bound together. So foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it out. The rod of discipline, godly wisdom, love, and kindness will remove it far from him. That's what the Amplified version says. There's another version that says folly is bound up in a child's heart. The rod of discipline removes it. Discipline means to train a child, train an individual. Let me just give the regular definition. Just train in a way. If for us as parents, we were never disciplined, a lot of times what we're going to see in our parenting journey is giving back what we received, whether it was positive or whether it was negative. For me, I had to learn a whole pivot because my mom was never conversation. It was just always, I'm going to whip you behind. I'm going to whip you behind. I'm going to whip you behind. It was one way. And I personally do not believe that you can just parent one way because your children are going to go through stages. And so as they're growing, yeah, Jazz, it's like, come on. Like there are more ways. What they say is more ways to skin a cat. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So there's absolutely more than one way to parent, but we want to make sure that we are using stewardship as our baseline and then enacting what needs to be for the developmental level that the child is at. So permissive parenting cannot just stay for forever. You may have moments where you are negotiating with your children about certain things. And you hear their perspective and you say, okay, it's not harming them. It's not putting them in a way. It's not going against my values, because that's what you have to understand as well. Values. So foundation, stewardship. Values are built from the foundation, because the overarching thing is the vision. What is the vision for the family? Once you have the vision for the family, you create the values. And you have something that's standing up on. For me, I'm stewarding my children. I don't own them. So what are the values that I want to see in them? Integrity, respect, communication, discipline. I want them to be disciplined men. So if I'm not living a life that's disciplined, then I cannot tell my kids that they need to do something. I can't do that. That's hypocritical. And so this is why we see sometimes where parents, or kids rather, are going off on their parents and basically giving them the truth, and the parent doesn't like it. And so then the parent will go into their ego and get defensive, all because the truth is being told. I'm just saying. This is why we have to, as parents, understand that I have to take care of me. I have to show up as a healthy me so that it is impacting my role as a parent. Nothing, y'all, and I mean nothing, should be off limits when it comes to communicating with your children. Yes, you give things at various stages where they are. My 11-year-old, we started talking about, girls in their cycles, because you're now in middle school. Good morning, Alicia. So we started dealing with cycles. When a girl, has her period, these are these are natural things that happen in the body. These are conversations that we cannot leave to this education system, to digital devices, to anything. And I have noticed that there has been a huge dip in parenting. I said it before and I'll say it again. Just because you're a mother or a father does not make you a parent. It doesn't make you a parent. Parenting is intentional. Parenting is showing up day after day after day after day. Because you created this life and God said, hey, I'm giving you this responsibility. So we have to show up in intentionality. We have to give our kids the truth. If you're tired, you're tired. The other day, it was like, you know what? I'm tired. I told him, I am getting ready to start my cycle, son. And he goes, uh-oh. What do you want me to give you? And I'm like, I don't need you to give me anything, but I need you to do the things that you need to do. I don't want to repeat myself to you a whole bunch of times. And I'm not picking up behind you. I'm not doing any of these things, because as we're developing them and disciplining them for life, for real life, we then have to watch them do the things that we are training for them to do. If we are always swooping in to fix it for them, we're doing them a disservice. And we're doing ourselves as parents a disservice. We're doing them a huge disservice. So, what is gentle parenting? I just believe, from my perspective, because according to the interwebs, y'all, that I have been seeing these last 3 weeks, gentle parenting is just the worst thing that you can do for your kid, because you're not showing them any love, excuse me, you're not doing anything for them. You're just making it so simple. And I'm like, who came up with that? Like, who really came up with that? So let's see what they say. There has, like I said, y'all, when I say I've seen such discourse this week between educators and parents, it has been mind blowing how it's this argument and this divisive nature when way back there used to be a such thing as the home and the school collaboration. Now it is home school division. You're not doing this, you're not doing that, and it's like this pointing of fingers. And I'm like, what the heck? How did we get here? So let's see. Gentle parenting, high connection and high structure. Well, look at that. Permissive parenting is low structure, high warmth. So let's put that in very plain terms. Gentle parenting. I have high expectations for you. Or not even, let's take out high expectations. I have expectations from you based off of what I have shared with you, what the vision for our family is. I have expectations of you. And I'm implementing structure because children strive off structure. Children thrive off structure. That was a whole tongue twister. Children thrive off structure. I don't care what nobody says. I'm a whole adult. I love structure. I need structure. Otherwise, I'm going to move by my feelings and be saying, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to do this today. And that's something that I had shared with my kids. If I get up every day and move by my feelings and say, well, I don't want to go to work today, then how am I going to take care of the responsibilities that I need to take care of? So it's not saying that we don't acknowledge our feelings. And even in gentle parenting, it's not saying that you're not acknowledging your child's feelings. You're absolutely acknowledging them. Now you're making a plan on how to process those things so that way we can move accordingly. Whereas in permissive parenting, it's just like, I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I feel what you're saying. And so then we can do it your way. No, the child is not running the household. The child is not running the household. Yes, there are times where the child can show leadership and you let your child lead in certain ways. Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly because, again, they're learning how to do things in the home. And so if the only thing that you're letting them do is lead you, then it's not going to work. That, to me, is the permissive parenting. As parents, our children are also modeling. Listen, you already know. As parents, our children are modeling our behavior. Whatever behavior that is, they're modeling it. Before you can teach them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they're watching. And their brains are computing what it is that they see. How I learned how to parent was because of what I saw my mom do. Once I came to a recognition and an understanding that this is not going to be healthy for me because there are things that, yes, were beneficial. And then there are things that was like, nope, I'm tossing it out of the window because that is not good. I don't want that. That is not a cycle that I want to continue. This is why parenting has to be intentional. It cannot be passive. It cannot be passive. And I have had conversations with a lot of educators, a lot of childcare providers, and they are very frustrated because what they're seeing is a lot of passive parenting and a lot of manipulation coming from the children. And it's like, well, that's because they thought, because I had this kid, that's all I got to do. I got to dress them up. I got to provide shelter and housing and all of these things for them. And then that's it. No. No. Couple that with maybe a lack of help or understanding, and that's truly what I believe it boils down to, y'all, is that some people, parents, really have a lack of understanding of what they're getting into. It sounds cute to have a baby, but your baby is only a baby for this much amount of time. This much amount of time. And so while yes, that first 2 years, 3 years, maybe you may just really be struggling mentally. I'm not going to negate that or take that away from any parent, that you may be struggling to figure out a routine and how you want to handle your child, because it can be a struggle. But in that time, like I really admonish, I am like begging parents, please find reputable people that have been where you are, that can actually teach you. Hi, I'm Ashley, family and wellness practitioner. It is my joy to teach parents how to live for them first so that they can raise healthy families. When the only thing we do is live for our kids, we lose out in life. I said what I said. We make the mistake of only living for them, and then they go out and they live their lives for themselves. We've got to get back to showing our children that things can coexist. Things can coexist. I'm getting ready to graduate this year with my PhD. My oldest son is getting ready to graduate high school. We graduate in the same year. And we've had so much conversation. And he likes to joke and say, you just want to be like me. You just want to be like me. But the fact that we grew up together, he's watched me live life as I've watched him grow into a great young man. We inspire our children by how we live, not just what we say. Man, like y'all, please hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Hear my heart. We don't have to pick all the time. Yes, there are moments in parenting where we are going to be sacrificing. Absolutely, because that's life. There are moments in life where you're going to have to sacrifice. And any role that you have, you're going to have to sacrifice certain things for the betterment of the vision. But if the only thing that you're doing is sacrificing your life, I want to submit to you that you're doing a disservice to you and to your family. Gentle parenting has boundaries. It's not free for all. It's not a free for all. There are boundaries. And within those boundaries, you absolutely have to hold fast to your consequences. In the parent hub this past week, we were talking about that. And one of the parents, she was like, that's the thing that I struggle with, is like basically holding my ground. And I'm like, but you have to hold your ground, even if it hurts you, even if you feel like, oh my God, I just want, it's like, nope, that's when you put on that cap of, I am the authority figure here, and not that I am over my child in a way where I'm beating them over the head, but because I want to show you that I love you, I have to make sure that as I'm disciplining you, I enact this consequence so that way in life, when you get outside of my home, outside of my immediate covering, that there are consequences to my actions. This is why it has to start in the home, y'all. This is why these things have to start in the home. Because if they don't, then our kids are going to get into a society that will chew them up. And then you may have a kid that's you're sheltering. And then when you pass away, they don't know what to do because mom or dad has always done it for me. No, we're their guide. We're a blueprint for them, but we are not their hand holder for the rest of their lives. That is what can happen when we only stay in one zone of parenting or in permissive parenting. Whatever you say, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it. No, we're going to learn how to have critical conversations. Because when you step into relationships with other people, business, friendship, schooling, a work relationship, you're going to have to learn how to have critical conversations. So permissive parenting says, I'm avoiding the conflict, I'm avoiding the conversation because I don't want to disrupt. No. I'm disrupting what's disrupting you. That's how I see it. I'm disrupting the very thing that's trying to keep you from becoming who God has called for you to be. And I'm not going to allow discourse in my house or division in my house. See, we have to look at it like this because parenting, y'all, is spiritual. Parenting is spiritual. I don't know if you guys have ever saw that, understood that, but parenting is a spiritual thing because you are caring for the life of another while also caring for your life. And so while they're coming with their own sets of their personality, they're coming with their own set of, seeing the world, because we've been here before. We've been here before. So they're now interacting with the world in a way that they see it from their lens. And this is why it's spiritual. This is why we steward them and don't own them. This is why we give discipline and consequences. These are the reasons why. So that way, when they go out into the world, they have a framework by which they can live by. This is why I say, parents, have a vision for your family. From that place, build the values. Because what we instill into our children by way of values will carry them for the rest of their lives. Yes, those values will be tested when they enter into peer spaces, when they enter into all of these different things. And this is why we are always going to be parenting, y'all. Always. It doesn't stop. The active part stops. And the active part being where we have they're under our covering per se. When they go out into the world, they go to college, they go, to live their life. The parenting relationship pivots to something different. I feel like in that space, and I'm getting ready to enter into that space, and I'm really excited about what that's going to look like, where it's more of a wisdom now based relationship. They're asking you for wisdom, they're asking you for thoughts, or sometimes they're telling you, this is what I'm going to do. And sometimes they're looking for your support, sometimes they're not looking for your support. They're just sharing things with you. I believe this, and in that space is where we have to be mindful that I've raised them to go out into the world, and now the world is going to reveal itself to them. And this is where they'll pull from the values that you've instilled within them. While they are under your care, under your tenure, pour into them, communicate with them, create environments in the home where they will be able to learn about conflict, learn, even if they are the only child, Even if they are the only child, there are so many different things that we can do as parents to place them in certain environments to where they can learn how to interact. They got cousins, school is going to be one of those places. Jazz. It's going to be one of them places, boo, that will test. And sometimes we'll realize, you know what, my child doesn't belong in this type of system, and that's okay. Pull them out. Pivot as many times as you need in parenting, because these children have been gifted to us by God to steward them. And that's okay. That's a real emotion. Shoot, that's a real emotion. But I think I got to a place a couple of years ago, because I've shared this before. During the pandemic, the Lord asked me, like, do you trust me with your sons? And my response was like, yeah, I do. Of course I do. It was very nonchalant. But the question, as he kept asking me, was deeper than, do you just trust me to provide for them, or to, give them the things that you are praying for me to give them? But understanding that when they're no longer in your immediate hold, do you trust me to be who I say that I am? A provider, a protector, a comforter, a teacher, all of these different things. All of the things that you're learning me as and know me as, do you trust me in that way to be that for them? Because if you trust me to be that for them, then you don't have to fear. And I think the last couple of years, I have just been learning that, like, okay, God, like, at the end of the day, they belong to you because they came from you. They didn't come from me. They came through me. And that's how I've started to see it. They came through me, and you've entrusted them to me. And at the end of the day, they belong to you, and they're going to go back to you. So help me not feel as though I need to hold them hostage, if that makes sense. That's it. And I promise you, he will. I promise you he will. My son is getting ready to go to college in the fall, and we're going to be miles apart. But where I can't be, I know the Lord is there. I've given him what he needs, foundational things, and now we're getting ready to see fruit of that, or more instruction. Because so Alicia, she's on YouTube. She has a daughter who is, how old is she now, Alicia? Is she 20? She went to college. She's in college. She's had to make decisions that are going to be beneficial. And at this stage now, it's like, okay, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to partner with you. I'm here to support you in what you believe is best. If you're needing and asking me for my advice, I'm more than happy to give it to you. But I believe also in these instrumental times in their lives, we have to kind of push them to become independent, in realizing that they can make decisions, and even if the decision that they make doesn't pan out, that they don't have to crumble and fall apart. So this is really a delicate time for their development, as they are, okay, now I'm using the wisdom that my parents gave me. Now I'm also learning how to trust myself, that the decisions that I'm getting ready to make, they're going to be beneficial to me. And if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to crumble because of that. That's how I look at the young adult phase. That's really how I look at the young adult phase. And so I'm bracing myself now, like, okay, whew. He's going out, as his dad likes to say, he's like, I'm putting my product in the world. I'm putting my product in the world. This is really that time where we're going to see. And it's not that we're no longer parenting. That's that whole mindset that some of our parents gave us. Oh, you're 18 now, you know you're an adult and you need to go get a job and you need to do this and you need to do that. Man, when I tell you, I scrapped that mess. Because just because I'm 18 doesn't mean anything. It just means that legally, the jurisdictionally, there are things that are different. But other than that, they still need our guidance. They still need our provision. They still need our love. They will never not need our love. I am a whole grown woman. And I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, you know, one of the things that kind of sucks when you don't have an active and emotionally available mother is that sometimes you just want to be told, you know, like, it's going to be okay. Even though you know it's going to be okay. You just want to be able to have that safe space. And I really thank God that I have been on the journey of healing so that my kids know I am a safe space for you. For his 18th birthday, I did a scrapbook. For my oldest son, I did a scrapbook of just pictures along the journey of him growing up. Some pictures that I loved, you know, some milestones that he had. And then in the back of that, I wrote 18 scriptures. I wrote 18 affirmations. I wrote a prayer for him. And then I just wrote my heart for him as I've seen him grow up and matriculate over these last 18 years and the things that we have experienced. And I'm getting emotional because I said to myself as I was writing it, you have grown so much, Ashley. You have become the mother that you didn't have. And so, when I say, y'all, the reason why I really go hard for parents to grow interpersonally, because I am proof that the work has to happen, but it's some of the best work that you can do, because it doesn't just affect your children, but it affects all of the relationships that you have if you do not do that interpersonal work. And so when I gave him, you know, the book, he's looking through it. And, you know, once he got to the back where all of, like I said, the affirmations, the scriptures, you know, words to live by, all of those things, as he read, you know, what I was saying, you know, we shared that moment of like emotion because we literally grew up together, y'all. And I'm confident that he is going to be an amazing man in life. But for me, that moment of reflection was like, whoa, you are what you didn't have. It's possible. It is so possible. And in like God fashion, he has brought women into my life to be able to help me in moments where I need help. Because listen, parenting, you need people to rely on. You need people that, you know, have been beyond where you are and can give you tips and tools. We are never above that. And so I you know, have talked with, you know, women that have sons that have graduated college, and one friend of mine, her son is playing for the NFL now. And it's just like, God, I thank you that even when I felt I had a deficit or a gap, there was never really a deficit or a gap. It was always to bring me to you, to get help from you, for you to show me what I need to do and to trust what you placed in me. And so that is what we do with our kids. We give them the things that they need. We give them the tools that they need. Thank you, Alicia. We give them the tools that they need. And then we trust that what we gave them, they're going to abide by it. And they'll tweak it according to their life. Somebody said to me, the way that you know that you parented your kids well is through your grandkids. And I said, well, in Jesus' name, ain't gonna be no grandkids around here until these boys are married and they're committed and they're disciplined, to be able to take on that responsibility, because it is a life-changing responsibility. But it's beautiful. It is tiring. I ain't gonna lie, like, oh my God. It's tiring. It's selfless and sometimes selfish. And when I say selfish, I mean, you gonna have to, when I say discipline and put the hammer down, rod of correction, Proverbs 22:15. Nope, you don't get to do what you want to do. I'm putting the hammer down, and they'll be better for it. They'll be better for it. Yesterday, after the incident with my son, God has allowed people to see the leader in him. And so everything that I have been saying to him has been echoed from people around him. So there's a reiteration to him. Okay, it's not just my mom saying this. Like these are people that see me and know what's in me, and that are bringing him up to that level. And so at a stage in parenting, in gentle parenting, because again, feelings are allowed, but I'm guiding your behavior. Permissive parenting is feelings are allowed and your feelings are leading you. No. No. We're not led by our feelings. We're not led by our feelings. We're acknowledging them, but they don't lead me. And so that is one of the things, because he is my sensitive son. His sensitivity is greater than his brother. And that's okay, because you ain't gonna raise the two kids the same. And so because of that, I recognize the way I approach him has to be different than the way I approached his oldest brother. But the values that I'm instilling in them do not change, because those are the foundational truths by which I'm raising them from. And so because of that, he got it different than his brother. And his brother would like to tell him, you got a different mom. He'd be like, you got a different mom. He was like, I had black mom. He was like, you got black mom that has changed. And to that, I acknowledge what my oldest son says. And I said, you're absolutely right. I have changed. And I needed to change. Because if I didn't, then the mom that you have in this stage of your life, we probably wouldn't have a healthy relationship. I needed to acknowledge how my childhood was driving my parenting. I needed to acknowledge how, amen, he is. I needed to acknowledge how I did not like my mom, the black mom girl. Thank you for the follow, young LT. I needed to acknowledge all of those things, because acknowledging that, and I've shared this with you all before about the AAA method, you acknowledge, you address, and then you take action. And once again, we're going to be talking about this and so much more February 24th in the Regulated Parents class. Registration is completely free. You do not have to pay for this class, but it is going to cause for your mindset to shift. We're going to be dealing with redefining parenting. We're going to be dealing with how to really live a regulated life. And it doesn't start with emotion regulation. It starts with nervous system regulation. So we're really going to be digging into how our past impacts our present, because that's what we're carrying in our nervous system. And so that's why a lot of times as parents, we will react versus pausing and then responding and handling the situation the way it needs to be. So if this is you and you know you're like, you know what, I want some new tools, I want to brush up on some things, register for the class, y'all. The link is in my bio. Again, cost is free, but you are going to change I guarantee you, you're going to leave the class with tools that you need and a changed mindset. And so through my own acknowledgement of what I didn't receive, it shifted my understanding of, oops, you need to go back and apologize to your kid. You need to change the way in which you're showing up in parenting. Ooh, you was wrong. And those epiphanies, those realities are real, y'all. Because we're human. Being a parent does not make you superhuman. You are a parent with now, you are a person now with the responsibility for a human being. You are a person now with the responsibility for a human being. And that is a serious, serious thing. Because in scripture, Jesus said, it would be better. And I know in this instance, he was talking about having a gap between people coming into understanding truth in who he is. But we can also look at it in the light of when you're parenting and you're not being active for your kids, you're not training them, you're not developing them, you're not stewarding their lives. If you offend them, if you cause for them to slip, then it's better for you to have a millstone wrapped about your neck and dropped in the depth of the sea. In essence, it's better for you to do the work necessary to become the person that you want to be. And I know I keep repeating this because I'm driving that part home. It's important for you to do the work to become the person that you need to be, because it's going to impact the parent that you want to be. And I'm not saying that you're going to show up perfectly, because it's not going to happen. You're going to get it wrong and then you apologize. Because no one is above apologizing. I remember my grandfather telling me that he was not going to apologize to my mom. And now we were all adults at this time. At this time, we were all adults. And my mom had came to me with some information about, because she was trying to please him. She was trying to please her dad. And she said to me one day, I'm just so tired of him talking to me the way that he talks to me and all of these things. And, at this point in the game, y'all, I was actively in therapy. And so I was like, you know what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set some boundaries for him. You can't let him talk to you the way that he does. I said, but you have to see yourself as valuable. You're not the little girl anymore. You're an adult. But here's the caveat to that. She was the little girl. Because the little girl within her had not healed, had not grown up. So she was still chasing daddy's validation. And he wasn't going to give it to her because he was still the little boy that left home at 16 years old because he was tired of what was happening to him. So here we have a cycle. And we're going to do a teaching on that. I'm going to really do a teaching. And I think I did one on Wellness Wednesday. It may be on YouTube. I did. We talked about the difference between cycle and curses. I did. I don't know if I did it on TikTok, but I know I did it. Because so now here we have this cycle that's being perpetuated. The little boy in you didn't heal. You had kids. And when I say kids, y'all, my grandfather has, I want to say like 5 kids. And I think every single one of them, aside from my mom and her sister, my aunt, which was given up for adoption, have the same mother and father. But my grandfather has all different mothers for his children. And he has twin boys. There are family members, y'all, that I don't even know. There are uncles that I have that I've never met. And so now, as I'm growing up and an adult, nobody can really answer certain questions. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut all of the middle pieces out, and I'm just gonna go straight to the sources, because breaking the cycle means that we're not gonna repeat the history just because that's how it's always been. So we had the little boy, my grandfather, who didn't heal, who had children. Then he had my mom, who the little girl in her was looking for the affirmation of her father and never got it. And so what did she do? She began to be a people pleaser. So she was trying to please him in every way imaginable. And he still dealt with her as if he was always the authority figure over her life. Then she had me and my brother, and was emotionally unavailable because he was emotionally unavailable. His mom was emotionally unavailable. So we have this cycle here of emotional unavailability. Then here I come, and God is like, oh no, this is this one right here. And I believe this is us too. God chooses and says, no, you're going to be the one that's going to do it differently. And then we agree and we partner with this. And it feels so heavy. It feels so heavy, like, oh my God, all of this work that I got to do. But I want us to understand that the work that we're doing is to break the unhealthy cycle and build a legacy by which our children, our family, what comes from us, what comes through us, won't have to break it, because we're the ones that's partnering to do it differently. And so now my mom still very much, man, Alicia, because I was just like, you got to see this. And she doesn't. But can I tell y'all this? How I know that I have truly like been healed from the mother wound, because y'all, sis was walking around mad. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Up until 2021, maybe in 2022, I was mad. I was very mad, because I was just like, why is it that you can't see? Why is it that you can't see? But again, we know what they say. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I could lead you to this place of understanding. I could give you, strategies. I could say certain things. But if you don't want to do the work, then it's not going to matter. And so I had to release myself from the stipulations that I even placed on her to be a mom that she didn't even know how to be. And from that was really where my heart started to understand and really reparent and really start to give myself the things that I needed. Because there's no shame even in your parenting where you're going to have to reparent. She couldn't be the mom. There is no shame, y'all, in realizing wherever you are in your parenting journey, like, I gotta reparent me. It's such a beautiful journey, because then you connect with your children on a different level. You connect with your inner child on a different level. You are giving yourself permission to become all that God says you are, because now you are believing the truth and not the lie. The lie could be whatever was spoken over you. You're not good enough. You're dumb. You're this, you're that, whatever the lie is. And so then we're still looking for validation from mommy or from daddy, and they can't give it because they didn't have the validation and because they didn't do the work and they're not willing to do the work. When I started to realize that, it was like, okay, let me just release her from my hold that I have. That's where that forgiveness comes in. You know what? I forgive you. I acknowledge what you did for me. I acknowledge who you are to me as my mother, as my father, or as both, because some people may just be dealing with the whole parental womb. It could be a unit. And we acknowledge that and we're like, you know what? Yep, it hurt. I didn't like it. But I'm not going to be held hostage to that place any longer. That forgiveness is for us to release us from the place of hostage, from the place of offense, from the place of regret, from the place of anger and pain and hatred, and releases us into a beautiful journey of learning and growing and developing, all while parenting our children and bringing them on the journey. My kids have seen me in every phase. It's nothing to hide from. This is why I don't believe in, now let me say this. I do believe in the fact that kids should be guarded in certain instances when it comes to adult things. Absolutely. That's not what I'm saying. But as a parent is healing, you heal out loud. You heal with them. I've had conversations with them about my childhood. They've asked me certain things and I share it because why? We're breaking cycles around here. So where there was lack of communication or no communication with me growing up, for them, we're communicating. We're talking about the hard things, about the real things in life. We're not sweeping things under the rug. We're not waiting for weeks to pass and then hitting up the family member as if nothing ever happened. No. So when I say gentle parenting is not the same as permissive parenting, those are the things that I mean. We are cycle breakers. Here at the Parents Corner, I truly believe those that come onto this virtual space are cycle breakers. And so we're connecting, we're conversing, we are woo-sawing, we're allowing the Lord to give us tools and tips, whatever needs to be for this space. And so this is why it exists, y'all. This is why he was like, okay, no, the Parents Corner. Sharing authenticity, vulnerability. Because people need to know that they're not alone, especially in parenting. Parents need to know they're not alone. It's doable. Whatever that it is, it's doable. We have to make the decisions. We have to stick to it. We have to stick to our consequences. And we're going to be better for it, just as our children will be better for it. So that is our conversation for today, y'all. This was good. I enjoyed it. As I always just enjoy talking about the parenting, family, wellness space. As I told y'all, this is my lane, this is my jam, and I am fully embracing all of it. I am fully embracing all of it. Because part of what we have to do is understand that stewardship is, okay, Alicia, stewardship is the basis by which we parent from. That's it. And from that place, everything else will make more sense. Yes, I'm excited. And I'm gonna send you a message. Because like I told you when we first met online, I was like, I'm gonna be closer to you in the latter part of this year. So I want to see him. But yes, y'all, I thank y'all for like rocking with me, for being on the live, for the hearts, for tapping the screen, for the shares, the follows, for commenting. Like I really, really love what I do. I love what God has called for me to do, and I'm not going to stop. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started, as we're just getting started. And so we're going to be live with the Parents Corner every Saturday except the second Saturday of the month. So every Saturday except the second Saturday, we will be live for the Parents Corner. Second Saturdays are Morning Seek. And so you are more than welcome to join us for Morning Seek. It is a time of prayer as we seek the Lord. And so that will be next Saturday. Woo, February has got a lot going on this month, y'all. I promise y'all, I feel like my little calendar is filling up, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus. I like people, Lord, but I don't. No, I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, I'm just kidding. Man, but it's here now for us, because we are a generation, y'all, that are doing it differently. And I believe this is why we get so much hate. I truly believe this is why people are like, again, like I shared in the beginning, where all of this discourse between like the educators and against the parents. And it's like, no, it was never supposed to be opposite and division. It's supposed to be collaboration. That's how it was always supposed to be. But the enemy operates in division. And so as we are breaking cycles, doing things better, pivoting, healing, we're going to come up against opposition. It's par for the course. It's par for the course. So, yeah, it's just what it is. So I will see you all back here the 21st, I want to say it is, because yeah, next Saturday we won't be here. Morning Seek is on the second Saturday, but the 21st we'll be back here. And so I'm gonna post something if you guys have like something that you want to talk about on the Parent Corner. And again, please feel free to join me on the live if you want to. Like, I don't have to just be in this space. We could be dialoguing together. So with that being said, y'all, yes, have an amazing Saturday. Enjoy your Saturday. Stay warm if you are on the East Coast or the Midwest, where all of the weather is weathering. Stay warm, stay safe, be vigilant. I love y'all to life, and I will see y'all Tuesday for Bible study. Bye, y'all. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Alicia. I will be here every Saturday except the second Saturday. Every I'll put a post on YouTube so that it's visible and all of the things. But yes, I love you to life. I love y'all to life. See y'all on the next Parent